So, how many Ukrainian soldiers have lost their lives during braving the Russian invasion? As per the Ukrainian government, the number is between 2,500 and 3,000. However, a recent statement by Zelensky suggests that the number of dead Ukrainian soldiers could actually be as high as 10,000, along with 50,000 soldiers seriously injured. Hi and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Vedika, and if you haven't subscribed to the TFI Global channel yet, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates. Would you believe me if I claimed about 25% of the Ukrainian army has been rendered decapacitated by the invading Russian forces? If not, you better believe Zelensky's own words. In an interview with the American news site Newsmax, Zelensky, perhaps for the first time ever, admitted that the situation in the east was very difficult. All because Russia has forced around 60,000 Ukrainian soldiers to go off the battlefield. In the interview, Zelensky said, "The worst situation is in eastern Ukraine and south of Donetsk and Luhansk. The situation is very difficult. Every day we lose 60 to 100 soldiers in battles and we have about 500 wounded. We are keeping our defensive perimeter. We are about 100 days into the war, and 100 losses every day simply means that the country has lost around 10,000 soldiers so far against Russia. Importantly, the number of wounded soldiers, those who can no longer be deployed on front lines, might have risen to 50,000 so far. This means that out of Ukraine's 240,000 soldiers, 60,000 are no longer present on the ground to fight out the invading forces. In other words, the Ukrainian army has been rendered into a harmless paralyzed force by Putin's men. Previously, in mid-April, Zelensky has said the number of dead Ukrainian soldiers was 2,500, while around 30,000 Russian soldiers were gunned down. Now, it turns out that it was a part of Ukraine's psychological warfare against Russia. Serhiy Lapko, a Ukrainian military commander fighting on the front line, was recently quoted by Washington Post as saying, "Kyiv was deliberately not acknowledging the death of Ukrainian soldiers at the front line to protect morale among troops and the general public." He further told, "On Ukrainian TV, we see that there are no losses, there's no truth." The fact of the matter is, in order to keep fueling this war against Russia, Zelensky was required to hide these true figures from his countrymen. These precious lives of Ukrainian soldiers could be saved had NATO behaved wise enough not to provoke Russia by proposing to expand NATO. This war could be avoided if Ukraine's neutrality was maintained and respected. Frankly speaking, Ukraine's loss in the war was inevitable, a foregone conclusion. One must realize what Ukraine was actually fighting against. Ill-equipped, poorly trained Ukrainian soldiers were mercilessly deployed against the world's second most powerful military without proper assessment and deliberations. And when push came to shove, in form of a staggering number of human losses, Zelensky simply resorted to hiding the actual number of dead soldiers. That was how the former comedian honored the supreme sacrifice of his nation's men in uniform.